All right, let's get going here so we can jabber about politics afterwards.
My phone doesn't die.
We don't run out of time, because we want to get this done and then we can talk about whatever.
The
So
important stuff.
let's yeah, sure. Welcome to the Rebel Alliance briefing room. Please visit our website, https://RABR.KAILEJOHANSEN.US. There you can find links to send us feedback, connect to us on social media, or instructions on how to load the podcast onto your device. I'm Kyle John Johansson. This is Andrew Scott Sutton and Rick Ross Bosley. It's time to talk Star Wars. Yay, we couldn't get Scott on here today. He was on the first run of this. This is our second attempt. But we forgot to record, so we're doing it all over again. Not that you guys care or even know, but today we're reviewing Star Wars The Acolyte Season 1, Episode 8. 5 plus 3, 8, called The Acolyte. So we actually get an episode named after the show. So we're going to discuss. First we're going to ask you for some feedback. Then we're going to do an unboxing. We'll go through some who's in the cast and such. And then we'll go through a recap of the entire episode and, kind of discuss things on the way. And then we'll ask you for some feedback again. Hopefully some predictions for season 2 if it comes out, and our major thoughts going on. So to start that out, let's do this. Feedback. Yeah, so feedback at kylejohansson.us is our main address for email. Send that. You can send if your email client will let you can send us video clips that are up to 25 megabytes, more than likely. You can go to our website. There's a link there to fill out a form that comes to us. We're on X/Twitter at super_duper_pod. We're on Blue Sky at Rebel Alliance Briefing Room. And we're on multiple, sites that host our podcast, and they all take comments like Spotify and YouTube. So fill out some comments there if you want. Just any of those, please send us something, anything. Please let us know that we actually exist out there in the world of some sort. But next, we're going to do an unboxing. Now we have a special treat. It's unboxings. Gives me a second to rearrange. Whoa.
Hey, don't poke your eye out with that. That's a sharp object. See, look, it even says warning on there for you.
It does.
It's
Warning.
telling you, be careful.
That's right. That's
And
my
there's
new box here. So let's start opening. This is actually one that Rick just saw. So just yesterday. Oh, I can't get it open. Oh,
That's what she said. Oh, it's a blue guy.
it's a blue guy. What the heck's the blue guy?
He's
Who could
blue.
it be?
Like my
Is
shirt.
it Max Rebo? Is it Thrawn? Who could that be?
Well, it's not Thrawn, I don't think.
No.
This one got a haircut.
He's got some point up there, right? I don't know.
Mm,
Fish kind of guy. Let's see.
I like
Here
this.
we go. Mythrol.
That
And
Mythrol.
it's a Mythrol. And like Scott was saying, he was in the Mandalorian. He was in a couple episodes, or at least one episode where the Mandalorian captured him as one of his bounties, and he kept on wanting to pay him to get out of his thing. They were on an ice planet of some sort, and there was some sea monster that kept coming out of the ice to capture him and destroy the ship because vibrations on the ice track the animals below. So
Yeah.
Mythrol and his number is 404. I gotta write that down somewhere so I don't forget. Here's the side view. Not a very good side view, really. He's just wearing a little outfit, uniform kind of thing. He's not wearing anything special.
I don't know. It looks kind of fishy to me.
Exactly. He's some sort of fish guy. There's the Mandalorian collection for it. It was probably a particular season. It doesn't say what season on the label, but that's maybe
Uh,
a better view of the guy.
wasn't he season 1 or season 2?
I don't know. It was early on, though. Yeah. Maybe one.
It wasn't the very first episode when he went into Katina, was it? Like he said, like, ice cold or hot. It doesn't matter if you're warm or cold or something.
Yeah, I think that was maybe somebody else, but the
Yeah,
Mandalorian
maybe.
did say that, but it was somebody else he was after.
Okay, gotcha.
404. It could have been. I don't really remember the episodes that this guy was in.
Yeah, I don't
I
remember
remember
either.
the guy, and I mostly remember the guy because, um, you know, weirdly enough, this actual bobblehead has some special meaning to me, and that's because I put it on my Christmas list for Christmas one year. Supposedly, the first couple of years of the Mandalorian or whatever, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I wasn't expecting anybody to buy it because nobody knows what the hell that is, right?
Oh, yeah.
What the hell's a Mythrol? I'm not going to buy that, right? Well, my mom actually bought it for me, and she's like, I'm like, I'm surprised you bought this. And she says, well, yeah, he was in the Mandalorian and this, and this. And she named off everything. She had researched it and all kinds of stuff. And, it was kind of cool that she actually bought something for me that I really wanted like that. Kind
Well,
of a surprise.
and your mom researched something? What? That's
No,
weird.
no, no. I got that part from her a little bit. She was a little bit more into researching stuff, but
Yeah. Well, for
anyway,
those of you that don't know Kyle's mom, like she was a definite researcher. She was a book nerd in the literal sense of a book nerd and research. Knowledge definitely was power with that woman.
yeah, she
I would
she
love to
was
have
able to find a lot of stuff out.
I would love to have a conversation with that woman right now. But that's a different conversation.
Yeah,
But
I would too.
it would be
Actually, I'd love to talk to my uncle Lee. You've met my uncle Lee, but he doesn't like to do it in public, but he's the political guy. Him and my
yeah,
other uncle, my uncle Dennis, the blonde haired one,
yeah.
the one I wonder if the milkman was the father instead, because my granddad and grandma both had black hair, and then they get a
Okay.
blonde guy. What happened?
Yeah. He was in the sun
Anyway,
too long.
yeah, it was this. That's when they had. That's when they conceived him. Was during the summer. Yeah. All right. So the
Moving
Acolyte
on.
season 1, episode 8. The director was Hanelle Culpepper. Writer was Jason Micallef. Editor was Cheryl Potter. The music was scored by Michael Abels. And we were talking before we got in here that it looks like all of the music for this whole season has been released. So go find that wherever you find stuff. I think it's probably last time it was free on Google Music or whatever they call it now, like YouTube Music. Um, anyway, the cast included Master Soul, Lee Jung-Jae. The Stranger was Manny Jacinto. Osha and May were Amandla Stenberg. Master Venestra was Rebecca Henderson. Senator Rayencourt was David Harewood. And Mog Andra was Harry Tavaldwyn. Tavaldwyn. And Mog is the Padawan
Mhm.
of
The, poor-
Ventress,
the poor guy
which
who
he
gets blood from
seems to
his
be an
whole.
assistant. He seems to be the assistant or something instead.
Yeah. He's still in training.
Exactly. So this episode was aired originally on July 16th. It was a running time of 49 minutes. And it was at 1:32 before the Battle of Yavin. So this is the same time as the first episode. Same timeline. So we're just continuing on from episode 1's events. I cut myself the other day and it's really itching.
I told you that thing will poke your eye out. You just weren't careful.
So what that means is it's time to grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, and join us in the Rebel Alliance briefing room. Time to take a drink.
I agree.
The episode opens with Osha inside the stranger's cave. They're meditating with the helmet. As the stranger smiles, Osha begins to convulse. He panics and attempts to use the force to remove the helmet. In the physical world, his eyes turn black. With difficulty, he manages to remove the helmet. After he tries with one hand, he has to do with two hands, it looks like. After regaining her composure, Osha tells the stranger that she experienced a vision of her sister May. And May was killing Jedi Master Soul. May had a lightsaber in her hand, but did not use it. Really, she was having a vision of herself, I guess, huh? If we think about that. The stranger tells Osha that she saw a vision of the future and thinks that May can kill without a weapon. Osha says that the future is not fixed and she can change it. So she changes it to herself.
Yeah, she can change it, all right.
Yeah. The stranger turns around and says that he will be leaving aboard his ship. And Osha asks where he's going and adds that he knows, or that she knows, where Soul and May are. The stranger says that they will be going together. Really? Meanwhile, Soul takes his starship, the Poland GX-8, above May's homeworld of Brendok, where May lies beyond the... While May lies in the med bay, Soul tells her that he will contact Master Venestra and tell her to meet them on Brendok. When May asks why, he explains there's a vergence on the planet. Something's going on there. May secretly activates Pip. Soul plans to use May and Osha to prove the existence of the vergence on Brendok. When May confronts him about the murder of her mother, Anasay, Soul responds that Anasay's death was an accident. May asks why he didn't tell Osha the truth instead of scapegoating her. Soul blames May for starting the fire and says that she locked everyone inside the Brendok fortress. May counters that Soul and the Jedi evaded their home, saying everyone died because of the four Jedi. May secretly uses Pip to unlock her restraints. Where'd you go, Rick?
There.
Your video died. You must be bad video, huh? Soul responds that the Jedi were justified in intervening and says that the biggest regret was failing to save them both. He tells May that she and Osha are not twins or sisters. Before he can explain further, May has Pip unlock her remaining restraint and stings Soul in the chest with a stun gun. May flees into the corridor with Basil tailing her. With Pip's help, she reaches the escape pod section before Soul can capture her. May escapes and the pod with Pip and heads towards Brendok because her ship can't go to light speed.
Yeah, she's got a hyperdrive.
Right, no hyperdrive. Soul rushes to the cockpit and detaches the Poland GX-8 from the hypertransport ring, and May takes the escape pod into an asteroid belt around one of Brendok's moons. Soul pursues her through the asteroid belt, where above it, and he uses a targeting computer to get as close as possible to May's ship. Probably because he can't see it through the asteroids, right?
Yeah.
But then Basil enters the cockpit and rips out several wires, causing it to lose control and collide with May's ship. May's ship hurtles through an opening in the asteroid belt towards Brendok, and her ship descends to the planet's atmosphere, hitting a peak of a mountain and rolling down uh, to a lower level. So that was a lot that happened there. But I read something today too about Basil in uh, explaining why he did what he did here, where he rips out the stuff and the wires and everything.
Yeah.
And
Why?
it's just a theory. It's not an official thing, but it's just a theory. So they think that he did it because he didn't agree. He saw Solt targeting um, Osha and didn't want anybody to get killed.
Well, that kind of makes sense. Like
Because
he
he
saw.
he doesn't even know if Soul's the bad guy or not, because he was not around during all
Yeah.
the sword fighting and everything before. He wasn't around when anything happened, so he doesn't know who's the actual bad guy here.
And so I had this thought too, because after we kind of talked about it yesterday and kind of reflected back, knowing that we're going to do this, but we know that like Soul tells her that they're not twins, and we talked about this yesterday on our
Mm-hmm.
10 about her and maybe in Chimera. Like, so he recognizes the scent, but does he recognize that that's actually May and not Osha? So he's thinking Soul is going to try to kill Osha,
For the wrong
you know,
person, yeah,
instead of May, even though, like, I don't know. It was just kind of a questioning thing. Like, we talked about yesterday, like why he would do that, like he did. So I don't know.
yeah.
I'm
I'm
sure
not
there's
sure
lots of
if I'm not sure if Basil has seen both of them together either.
true.
Has
Yeah,
he?
I don't know either. I don't think so because when they took him there, they gave him the whatever the bag, right? Isn't that
Yep.
what? And he smelled that, and then um,
Because yeah, I
he
mean,
was
if they're the same person, they would smell the same.
yeah. So in his mind, maybe he thinks Soul is trying to kill Osha when in fact it's May because he doesn't realize that May. Oh, that's a cool butterfly. Sorry.
Yeah,
Um. So I don't
he
know.
doesn't.
We didn't know yesterday. Like we. I'm sure there's gonna be more stuff that comes out too.
Yeah. Uh,
It was just a weird moment.
yeah, it's weird, and you know we can talk more about this too, but later. But the whole thing that they're the same person is kind of weird too. I think
Yeah.
this is the first time he actually says it out loud. Is when he's talking to her on the ship right there.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's the first time that it's either described or anything. Um, and we don't know, you know, we don't know what this vergence is either, where it is or what it is. But it's interesting, like you said. They're like you said whatever, but it's like a clone or something like that. They're exact clones of each other.
Yeah.
Um, he doesn't know what that is or anything, I guess. So, um, but he thinks it's that they've been created through the Force. So, um, either that the witch was that powerful, or there's a vergence on the planet that's allows him to be that powerful, or something.
True.
Um,
True.
and kind of like I talked before, they keep focusing on that tree. That yellow tree.
Into tree or
The
whatever it is. Right?
right looks like almost like a willow tree, but it's a different poisonous tree of some sort.
Yeah.
They'll mention it here later on, and I'll remember what the name is then. But
Well, but we
um,
also know, like Basil's, mental, like, because he was a tracker, so his whole purpose was to be able to track someone. So, like, intellectually, like, what does he have to be able to reason? So, I mean, that would make sense. Like, he was trying to stop her from, or trying to stop Soul from shooting her down because he would
Yeah,
recognize, that tracking thing and what he was doing.
exactly.
So
And
that would make
I,
that's a good thing.
well, I mean, it was just someone that was basically defending Basil.
Yeah,
I'm the defender of Basil, or whatever they declared themselves on the internet. And
Basil's
I
not
thought
bad.
I thought it was a compelling argument, so I thought I'd mention it.
I go
But
for it.
all right, let's get back into the show. So we're at the Jedi Temple, and Padawan Mog informs Master Ventress that Senator Rayencourt has come to visit her. Ventress is annoyed at Mog for allowing the senator in the control room. Rayencourt apologizes for his intrusion and asks her about her recent travels. So he's basically saying, "Hey, how do you feel? I know you don't feel well when you travel." And she says, "It's not my stomach; it's my head that gets kind of messed up." So they get into business, and he says that he heard that Ventress was running a murder investigation without reporting it to the Galactic Senate. And she says that she is keeping the investigation internal until she has more information, and they do not need to see the report until it's a larger threat. When Rayencourt asks how she knows it's not larger, uh, Ventress acknowledges that all the victims are Jedi. Rayencourt inquires about multiple victims, and Rose says that she is close to apprehending a suspect. When Rayencourt asks if she suspects a Jedi, Rose says Ventress says that she is very close and thanks him for his concern. So she's slipped something out there, and now she doesn't want to say anything else.
He's playing coy.
Yeah. As she turns away, she asks Rayencourt asks if she dislikes him for his campaign for the external review of the Jedi as a personal vendetta against her. And Ro admits she does, or Ventress admits she does dislike him. And Rayencourt opinions that the Jedi are a massive system of unchecked power posing as a religion. He disparages the Jedi as a delusional cult who claim to control the uncontrollable. When Ventress counters that the Jedi do not control the Force, Rayencourt says he is referring to their emotions. While the Jedi project an image of goodness and restraint, he says it's a matter of time before the bubble pops, basically. He wonders who will be strong enough to stop whoever breaks. Ventress responds that Rayencourt's opinion is not shared by the rest of the Senate, and Rayencourt understands that most of his colleagues cannot imagine the galaxy without the Jedi protecting them. When people look up to heroes, they do not have what it takes to face what's in front of them. Ventress says that this is all before using the Force to says this is all, and uses the Force to unlock the door. Before leaving, Rayencourt warns Ventress that he has reported her lack of transparency to Chancellor Drellik. He will invite her to a tribunal for an update. Rayencourt says he wishes that she would have her suspect by then. He gives a disdainful farewell before departing.
Shame, shame, shame. That's what that was.
Yeah, he says you've been bad. And
Shame.
this, I said before, this Chancellor guy he's been in other shows. I think he was in maybe the Phantom Menace. I don't remember for 100% sure, but he's familiar.
Been around for a while, huh?
He's a magistrate of some sort, basically in the yeah. Drellik was the Supreme Chancellor, so he's one of the chancellors before Palpatine. He's not the one that Palpatine took over for, because someone else was.
Before him.
Yeah.
After this guy.
It doesn't say when he was. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He was the supreme chancellor of the Senate, basically.
He's the head honcho.
Right. Well, a family of Sukura, the little bird-like whatever things are that are on that unknown planet, play around on the rocky shore. Osha and the stranger cross a stony causeway to the stranger's starship. The stranger questions Osha's unwillingness to reveal their destination. Osha counters that they will go together or not at all. When the stranger asks if he gave her the impression that he is a not a fair person, Osha reminds her that he made a deal with his sister May and expected her to uphold it. She says that it is fair and so trusting her to take them to their destination. The stranger asks if Osha would consider being a student, but she declines. She says, "No, I don't want to." When he asks her, he says that this is the last chance. Osha says she is not her sister. The stranger is impressed. Says that May made the deal without thinking about it. She leads the stranger takes the lead and holds him from following. She holds back from following him, and after the ship departs, a cloaked, thin figure with orange glowing eyes is watching menacingly through an opening in the rocky shore. He's got weird long fingers and knuckles and stuff, holding onto the rock there. And pointy. He's got pointy fingernails.
He's got really sharp claws.
Yeah.
So we talked about that yesterday. So I guess I'll repeat what I said yesterday. This is like my number one piece of evidence that says the stranger is not the master, that there is someone else. And we kind of talked about that yesterday, so I don't want to go into it in detail, but and then the fact that he's trying to recruit someone, he's trying to recruit Osha now, right, tells me that somebody else is pulling the strings. So
right, and this is the same thing for me as if that is true and Kumar, whatever his name is, the stranger is not the master, then this guy is definitely the master that's pulling the strings. And I think we kind of mentioned that maybe the ultimate mission is, like you said, is to recruit more people to train and help them out and be part of their version of the Sith. Yeah. So,
well, the other thing, he looks like an organic General Grievous. Like he's not cyborg or
right.
He's an organism instead of a machine. Kind of. That's how I took it. And I haven't seen anything online about it at all. Really. There's nothing that says or implies or infers who this character was, or and maybe
there is all over Twitter. It's crazy on Twitter.
Yeah,
like I said yesterday, most of what people are thinking and saying is, this is the master, same master that Palpatine had, that is in this episode. They're trying to tie it to the Skywalker saga stuff. And this is where basically through Kumar they learned how to do this recreating of people through the Force and stuff like that. Because he learned basically how the witches did it by observing and whatever stuff. So that's a lot of what they're saying on Twitter. They're all trying to connect something to the other Star Wars properties. So I think that's part of it. I don't know. I'm pretty skeptical. I mean, I think this could be somebody else completely, because the time doesn't really match up unless this is some creature that's 400 years old or something and can be older. I don't know. It just doesn't line up for me.
Well,
Palpatine's already somewhat old when we see him in Empire Strikes Back and stuff. So,
And maybe this is just something to throw everybody off, just to like deflect, like, hey, look at this. Oh, never mind. Like focus
what
on
else did you
focus.
miss? We gotta rewatch that scene and see if there was something else
Yeah,
in there.
focus on this creepy character who's coming out, and then like, oh, we missed something completely. So
Right,
I don't
right.
know.
We'll have
Who
to
knows?
see.
That's what season 2 is for.
Yeah, that's a good reason to come back for season 2, I think.
Absolutely.
See what's going on. Anyway, so back on Brendok, Master Soul has parked his ship in a clearing next to the Brendok fortress. After activating his transponder switch, Soul exits the starship and raises his hand before walking away. He reaches into the force and says, "Where are they at?" He has haunted. He has a haunted look on his face when he realizes that they're both here, and Basil watches from the cockpit, going, "What's going on out there? What's going on? I'm going to stay in here this time." Yeah, he does a little sniffing. That's all he does, it seems like, is sniffing. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, Master Ventress uses a transmitter to tell someone she needs to get in touch with him urgently. The respondent replies that this is highly irregular, but he will see what he can do. Padawan Mog informs Ventress that they have managed to track Master Soul down. He turned on his transporter beacon again. When Mog tells her that Soul is on Brendok, she sighs and her eyes shift knowingly. Basically saying, "Man, I was just there. Why do I got to go back? I got to get in a ship again and make my head all crazy and yeah, exactly." She tells Mog to prepare a starship and gather as many Jedi Knights as he can without raising alarm. When Mog asks if she is expecting a conflict, Ventress says she is seeking to implement a resolution. This thing's going to be over with by the time she's done, is what she's saying. I'm done with it.
Finish it up.
Done with it. Elsewhere, the stranger's ship, the Exile 2, descends into Brendok's atmosphere. Osha and the stranger sit in separate cockpits of the twin boom body. Osha flies the ship, not allowing the stranger to operate it. She deactivates the controls and tells the stranger that there's a landing site near the witch's fortress. Based on a topographical map on the ship's computer, she learns that Soul is already on or at the Brendok fortress. She reaching the top of the fortress, Soul spots the stranger's ship flying past the obelisk. He walks into the abandoned courtyard and searches for May. He is haunted by memories of his role in killing Anase. In the presence of May, he walks into the dark corridor. At the base of the fortress, Osha and the stranger reach the elevator. Osha proposes repairing the elevator instead of climbing. The stranger asks if she is sure before disappearing. That's the only way in, is what she says. And are you sure? And he disappears. His voice echoes. Soul walks through the common room to the generator annex. He stares at the twisted remains of the broken walkway, haunted by the memories of the fateful night when he couldn't save both of them. Soul walks away as voices echo in the background. Shortly later, May climbs out of the pit with Pip. May visits her fire-scorched former bedroom. Back at the base, Osha hotwires the elevator, restoring it, and the door slides open. And I think she gets in, too, and takes the elevator.
Well, she had to, because the stranger was gone.
Right. He disappeared. Meanwhile, Soul continues to search for May, calling her name out repeatedly and loudly. May, May. While pausing in the hallway, he confronts He's confronted by the stranger, who thanks the Jedi Master for leading him to her. The stranger dons his Cordis helmet and welds his lightsaber. Soul ignites his blue lightsaber in defense. The two engage in duels. I should get my lightsaber out and make noises with it and stuff. The stranger drives Soul toward the bridge where the scouts were stationed. Soul jumps out and off of the bridge, using the force to cushion his landing. The stranger also uses the force to cushion his landing. In the courtyard, Soul warns the stranger that he will destroy him if he must. The stranger taunts him and says, if not, taunts not if she gets him first before activating a second lightsaber. He untwists it and goes, shoo. Oh, I got two now. He launches a second assault on Soul, who dodges both blades. Soul manages to knock the shorter lightsaber out of the stranger's hand. Boing, goes flying. The Sith Acolyte attempts to retrieve the weapon, but with the force, Soul launches a counterattack and kicks the stranger in the chest about 3 times. Boom, 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 boom. And the last time it's like really hard and it pushes him back. Like Soul reactivates his lightsaber. The stranger retrieves a second lightsaber and launches a renewed attack. Again, they go in on it. And I kind of, I like the lightsaber fighting, but I kind of thought this was a little repetitive here. It was a little too much of the same thing. So he has the two apart and he hurls the lightsabers at Soul and they go spinning around like boomerangs. And Soul dodges him the first time with his lightsaber and uses the force to dodge him, the stranger's attack, and push the lightsabers away at the same time with a concussion kind of force thing that pushes everything away. The lightsabers and the stranger. Kumar uses the force to retrieve his lightsaber.
It's what the stranger did there in Kelnaka's place.
Yeah. That was kind of cool then too, where he pushes all the Jedi away and stuff like that with one assault. Basically causes a huge sandstorm or something, pushes them away. Yeah. So they go for another assault. Elsewhere in the fortress, Osha finds May inside the charred bedroom. May attempts to reason with her sister, but Osha still blames her for the deaths that occurred that fateful night. May replies that Soul lied to her and blamed Osha blamed May for stuff she didn't do. Osha counters that Soul never blamed Osha, but never blamed May, but taught her to accept that someone she loved could be capable of such destruction. Osha says she never learned how to calm her negative emotions, including her hatred for May and grief of her mother, Anase. Osha says that she has such negative emotions that she was never meant to become a Jedi, and thus May got her wish. May tells Osha that she saw Soul kill her mother with her own eyes, and that he's been lying to her ever since Osha left the home. May tells Osha that Soul is the reason for her negative emotions. She nervously approaches Osha, telling her sister that she did not fail, but Soul did. Osha faces wells of grief and pain and rage. She lunges at May, but May dodges her. Osha attacks May and they engage in a hand-to-hand combat. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, that hurts. Stop hitting me. Stop hitting me. I'm going to pull your hair. May blocks and deflects Osha's attacks, and Osha notices the pip droid, but the droid squirts water in her face. For some reason. It's supposed to be funny, I guess, but the twins continue their fight, but invade each other's by deflecting blows. The two are evenly matched. Outside, Soul and the stranger duel but but are interrupted by the arrival of Master Ventress's starship, which circles the Brendok Fortress summit. Solt tells the stranger that he will pay for what he has done, and the stranger taunts him and says they are not here for him. Inside the bedchamber, Osha and May fight, and they are also interrupted by Ventress's starship above the hole in the ceiling. May takes advantage of Osha's distraction and retreats. She disappears kind of like the stranger did. So back in the courtyard, Soul and the stranger are fighting again. Stuff. Eventually, matched and crossing their blades, Soul breaks the deadlock by deactivating his lightsaber and breaking free of the stranger. He reignites his lightsaber and launches a renewed attack, damaging the stranger's lightsaber. Beaten, the stranger removes his Cordis helmet while Soul points his lightsaber at his neck. Soul is interrupted by May, who engages him in hand-to-hand combat. Says, no! Soul throws her off, and she manages to steal his lightsaber. Surprise, I got something that you want.
Looky here. Looky here.
The stranger praises May and encourages her to embrace the source of her anger. However, May tosses Soul's lightsaber aside. He urges May to strike Soul down, saying that her training will be complete. May disagrees and says she wants Soul to confess to his crimes and then face the Jedi High Council, Galactic Senate, and the Galactic Republic. So she wants him to be punished really bad. 3 different sources of punishment. She says she wants Soul to pay for the crimes, and Soul says he did the right thing and wanted to protect both of them. He tells May that they are not twins and that she and Osha are the same person. Soul believes that Mother Anase created life through the virgins on Brendok and believes that Anase used the Force to create May and Osha. He describes this power to be exceptionally powerful. Yeah, so while Soul speaks, Osha approaches them from behind and retrieves Soul's lightsaber. May reiterates that Soul killed their mother. A guilt-ridden Soul finally confesses to killing Mother Anase, and Osha steps out from the corridor and asks Soul if he is telling the truth. And Soul says that he was protecting her and insists that he did the right thing. Osha asks her former master why he didn't tell the Jedi. Pointing to May, Soul says that without her, he did not have proof of the virgins. When Osha asks why he did not tell her, Soul replies that the Jedi Order would have taken her away and she was too old to be trained, and he reiterates that he did what he thought was best for her. Soul tells Osha that he wanted to many times, but he couldn't. He says that he kept a secret from Osha so that she could live the life that she dreamed of. Soul tries to explain, but he begins to choke. As Osha stares at her former master intently, he continues to choke. The stranger and May watch with alarm as Soul drops to his knees and struggles to breathe. I think at that time is when she raises her hand up. Osha tells him to stop talking, and she force chokes him to death. A tear flows from Soul's cheek as Osha grips Soul's lightsaber hilt. The kyber crystal starts to turn red, turning from red to blue. As he breathes his last breath, he tells Osha that it's okay, meaning he understands or whatever. And she closes her fingers into a fist, and Soul collapses to the ground dead. Osha drops to her knees and briefly mourns the death of her former master and father figure. The stranger approaches her, but Osha instinctively activates the soul's lightsaber, which rapidly changes from blue to red. And May and the stranger watch with concern and intent, respectively. They're like, ooh, this is a cool thing here going on.
Oh, pretty cool.
Yeah, and like we talked about before, I think that's the first time we've seen a lightsaber change like that
Mm-hmm.
from the bleeding. Um, Usually in the books and stuff, they talk about them actually squeezing the kyber crystal. Um, but she was so upset that she was able to do it through the lightsaber, I guess, and change it while she was doing other fighting and stuff.
Her force was so strong that the crystal was exposed, and just by default, like did it as she's squeezing Soul's throat. The good is leaving and the bad is arriving.
Right. The evil or the evil side is getting stronger and stronger.
Well, and it's
Exactly.
ironic because it was Soul's lightsaber.
Right. Exactly.
So like you see the good turn to bad, like very symbolic of the entire season.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, because as the season goes on, we find out that Soul was pretty bad in the things that he did. I guess going along with the cover up and everything, and
Yeah.
killing Mother Anise and such. Um, Soul, I think, was one of those ones that struggled with his emotions as well. He
He was
acted more
conflicted.
on emotion than he did on reason.
Yeah. Very conflicted.
Exactly. All right. So meanwhile, Master Ventress lands her ship in the nearby forest clearing. As she exits with a contingent force of Jedi, she briefly senses her former apprentice, the stranger, and at the present Brendok fortress. The stranger also sees her presence and dons his Cordis helmet. Regarding her composure, or regaining her composure, Ventress tells the Jedi that she knows where they are. Basil joins the group and is greeted by Padawan Mog, who is relieved to find he is still alive. I guess
Basil!
I guess Basil saw the ship land too, huh?
Must have.
Back in the courtyard, May tells Osha that they need to leave. They find that the stranger has disappeared again, and May leads Osha through the corridor, tells her that she knows a way out. Meanwhile, the Jedi file into the elevator, and Ventress pauses briefly before joining her comrades. May leads Osha to the generator annex. With May taking the lead, the two sisters climb down the rock face to a core tunnel. May says, "Hey, this is the tunnel I took when, I fell down." She says that she was sucked into the tunnel, and Osha follows her lead. Meanwhile, Master Ventress discovers Soul's body in the courtyard. Through the force, she begins to hear echoes of the twins on that fateful night in Brendok. Ventress sends some Jedi in pursuit of the twins and orders the rest to set up a 5-click perimeter around the fortress. She tells Mog to use the tracker. The stranger watches from above while Ventress kneels beside Soul's body. After a moment of grief, she looks up at the roof where the stranger was. However, he has disappeared again. He went bye-bye.
Adios.
Elsewhere, May leads Osha out of the core tunnel to the base of the fortress. They head through the forest into the forest. Mog's party reaches the woods, and a dark-skinned human woman hands May's pouch to Basil, who leads the group. May and Osha reach the Bunta tree, where they had spent time as children. May tells Osha that she waited under the Bunta tree when she was left alone. Osha apologizes for not leaving May, while May apologizes for starting the fire. The two embrace each other and weep and apologize and they're so sweet. No. The stranger reunites with him, recovering Sol's former lightsaber. He warns his sisters that if he can find them, the Jedi can as well. Osha wants to tell the Jedi the truth about Sol's crimes. The stranger asks her to consider how she can have faith in the Jedi after learning about Sol's crimes. He warns Osha that she is in danger if the Jedi learn about her true power. May backs up the stranger. May asks Osha what she wants, and Osha reports the stranger asking to let her go, or to let her go, and she will be his student. May asks Osha to reconsider the decision, warning that the Jedi will use her to find Osha. Meanwhile, Basil leads the Jedi Knights towards the direction of May and Osha's scent. As the Jedi approach the Bunta tree, the stranger offers to purge May's memories. Osha is distraught about losing her sister again, but May tells her that she will fulfill what she was meant to do and that nobody will stop her this time. The stranger returns the lightsaber to Osha, and Osha and May embrace one more time, crying, and they start to sing. Osha vows to May, and they reaffirm their sisterly bond together. As they repeat that verse, the stranger raises his hands and wipes May's memory. Before leaving his mind wipe May behind, Osha tells her that she gives herself to her. Two is one and one is the same, or something. That's the verse.
But doesn't she also? I thought about this after we did this yesterday too, and I didn't go back and watch it. But doesn't Osha tell May she'll find her?
She does.
That's what I thought.
Before leaving the mind wipe May, Osha tells her that she will give herself to find her. She gives herself to her and so she can find her. Yeah. So she says she'll come back and find her eventually. And I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about some of this too later when we'll see later on when I talk about where Ventress is interrogating May.
Yeah.
I wonder how much she actually forgot, because she's acting suspicious to me. But
agreed. Agreed.
So shortly after Padawan Mog and Basil and the Jedi Knights catch up to May at the Bunta tree, they arrest her for her crimes, but find she's amnesiac. She has no idea what you're talking about.
Ooh. What?
See, this is why I don't believe it. I will talk about that later. I just got a text message. Shortly, okay. At the Jedi Temple, May is escorted to her Jedi captors to Master Ventristra's control room. Another Jedi deactivates Pip, and Ventrista is dressed in white robes with two firebirds on her shoulders. And like I said, I thought that was a little purplish, pinkish color, not white. Ventrista orders her subordinates to remove May's restraints and invites her to sit at a table. When Ventress asks her if she knows why she is here, May says that they think she killed someone, but she doesn't remember. May tells Ventress that she can remember a fire and that a man killed her mother. May says that she ran away and there was someone that she needs to tell, but she can't find her. Ventress says that May's memory was from when she was 8 years old and that the man who killed her mother was a Jedi. Ventress describes Soul as a kind, brilliant, and compassionate man who did a terrible thing. Master Ventress later repeats her falsified account to a Republic tribunal headed by Supreme Chancellor Drellik. She tells Drellik and the assembled senators that 16 years ago, 4 Jedi, including Master Soul, were stationed on Brendok. They encountered a forced cult of witches. A conflict ensued, resulting in many, many casualties. She says that the Jedi conspired to hide the incident. Ventress claims that Soul went rogue and killed his fellow Jedi in order to maintain their initial cover story. In a flashback, Ventress apologizes to the late Soul, basically saying that she's going to make him the scapegoat. Back in the present, what? Yeah,
throwing him under the bus.
Exactly. Ventress reiterates that the Jedi High Council commends Soul's actions, and Senator Rayencourt urges the Chancellor and his fellow senators to proceed with a full external review of the Jedi Order, rather than waiting for a Senate vote. Ventress emphasizes the events on Brendok were the work of a flawed man. When Chancellor Drellik asks what are the whereabouts of Master Soul, Ventress claims that he committed suicide at the crime scene. In a flashback, Ventress lights a funeral pyre for Soul on a boat which is sent floating down a river. Ro tells the amnesiac May that Soul's secret twisted his mind, and he claims he justified his actions with his love for her sister Osha. May asks if she had a sister. What sister? I don't know. When Ventress asks if she recognizes the name Osha, May's eyes glitter. Purportedly taking pity on May, Ventress enlists her help in finding her former Padawan, the stranger. Elsewhere on the ocean world, the unknown ocean world, Osha and the stranger stand together. As she grips her lightsaber, he holds her hand, and the two stare into the sunset over the beach. Back on the Jedi Temple, Ventress meets with Master Yoda. And then the credits scroll. Yeah, so credits roll. And I thought personally that the scene with the stranger and her holding hands, sure they have a bond together because they're working close together to learn he's teaching her and stuff. But I also, from their expressions, thought that she was the dominant one and he was the subordinate one, which is kind of the opposite of what we were led to believe throughout the whole series, I think. Maybe because, like you said before, maybe she's more powerful than he actually is.
Well, I think he recognizes it, and she now knows it, but she's more powerful than what she was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, which is also the reason why I don't think he's the master. Just gonna say that. Just gonna say it.
Yeah, that's fun.
We talked about this one yesterday too, and I know we kind of went through a little faster today, but when he made the comment about, thank you for leading me here, and I'm going to punish you not like her. Well, we kind of implied, or I inferred that to mean Ventra instead of either one of the girls, and then we discover that he is her former, Padawan or under her tutelage at some point. Because when they arrive, he doesn't have the helmet on, and she pauses and says, "You," like she knows who it is, and then he quickly puts the helmet on to block that connection or whatever. So we know there's some kind of connection. We don't know exactly what it is, but it's implied or inferred that he was a Padawan of hers at some point in time. So
and he went evil at some point, and
Yeah.
broke
So
away.
there are rogue Jedi's, and there have been rogue Jedi's, besides Anakin now, and we're led to infer or imply that this guy actually goes rogue, but he also becomes a Sith or is associated with the Sith in some way or form.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I don't know.
And I
There's a
think,
lot of there's
go
a
ahead.
lot of ground laid for season two. I mean, there's a lot there that can be built upon.
Yeah, and I talked about before that um, if there was a season two, that was going to be a lot of uh, different characters than we started with, and that's
Absolutely.
totally true because most of them are dead. They all got killed in this season. We've got Osha and May and the Stranger, and Ventress. Ventress is the only other person that's alive that knows anything.
Oh, you forgot the final scene.
Yeah,
Yoda.
I was leading to it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so she goes and talks to Master Yoda, and I kind of think that's because Yoda's been around for a while and has seen things like this, and probably knows that she had a Padawan when probably no one else does.
Yeah, well, he might even
She's
know what Padawan is.
Yeah, he might. He probably does. I mean, Yoda was a pretty sharp guy. He probably already has seen it in his visions or something already. So
He's
who
been there,
knows?
done.
But he's yeah. So and I think because he's been around, she gets in with him and says, "Hey, what are we going to do about this? Because this could be bad news in the future." And eventually it
Well,
turns out to be that way because it, even though I don't think a lot of this ties into the Skywalker stuff, it leads up to it, and um, I don't think this is the beginning of the Sith resurgence or anything, but I think it's around then. It may be
yeah.
after they've resurged a little bit.
Well,
So
and it also kind of goes back to one of the earlier episodes where she says something about we don't want to empower
now we
the
have a
movement.
sorry.
So we already know that that one senator is like on a headhunting expedition against the Jedi, and now we learn that the Jedi aren't necessarily the good guys, squeaky clean, all
Right.
that they're meant to be. That they've got issues of their own with Soul, and we know that he, the stranger, used to be a former Jedi, a Padawan who's turned bad. And then we see the transition between May and Osha, like literally like the beginning of the season. Now they are flipped with their positions, and so yeah, I don't
Right.
know. And the
And they
whole
they
blind thing with May, I don't know that that yeah, maybe he did wipe parts of it, but like did he wipe it completely or did he just put some kind of block on it where she can't access it so that it
right,
can be released later? Like we don't know how all that works.
exactly.
So
And he did say try. He didn't say
yeah,
he knew how to do it fully, but
and
um
she's made by a witch, so there's also that whole like witchery in there that's going on. So who
right,
knows?
right,
Season two will tell us. We will learn more from season two.
right.
But
And to kind of tie back a little bit on the Star Wars or the Skywalker stuff, they mention a lot in those first three prequels about how the Jedi were corrupt and stuff, and that's how everybody was against them because they were corrupt entity. And
yeah,
I think we kind of start to see that where they're hiding stuff and they're covering up things and whatever. Um, I mean, sometimes that's needed a little bit, but uh, you know, that also causes corruption and dissent and whatever too. So, uh,
well,
you know,
the old adage, one bad apple spoils the basket. So
exactly,
one you don't take care of, and that creates rot in another and another, and pretty soon everything's rotten. So I think that's kind of maybe that might be kind of the underlying big message of the whole series is that we've been led to believe this whole time that the Jedi are the, good, and the Sith or the other side or the dark side is the evil, but, are they really 100%? Like, is it 100, 0, 0, 100? Like,
Yeah,
is it more?
yeah. Well, I mean, there's the old thing, nobody's perfect, right? There's always
Exactly.
something that's a problem, and you know,
Yeah.
maybe when they get drunk or something, they lose control of all their stuff.
Hey, we
They.
weren't talking about that.
Oh, okay. Let me push this button here real quick. So we want you guys to consider everything we've said, everything you've heard. Tell us what we've done wrong, what we've said wrong, what we said right. But give us some feedback at kylesjohansson.us. You can also go to our website, and on the left-hand side, there's a link for feedback. We're on social media at X and Twitter at super underscore duper underscore pod. We're on Blue Sky at Rebel Alliance Briefing Room. And then the different locations like Spotify and YouTube have comment sections as well. So put them all in there. We'll find them eventually. They all point back to us anyway. So um, I think most of
Let's
them,
hear
even
your,
when they send something, it goes to our email. So
let's hear your theories on this. Do
yeah,
we
tell
need a
us.
season two or are we not? Because I'm hearing a lot of flack on this, man. I tell you, I've enjoyed this series. Like I think it was one of the better written ones. And what I'm
Yeah,
reading, it's poorly written and it's horrible and blah blah blah. Man, I bought into this one hook, line, and sinker. Like
yeah, it was pretty good season. I thought myself.
there wasn't a
I
whole lot of the peaks and valleys. Like, it didn't like, oh, it was exciting. And then,
yeah, there wasn't as many filler kind of episodes.
like, it was pretty steady. Like, so I don't know. I thought it was well done. I don't know why people are like dogging on it, but that's just me.
Well, I do. They just can't get rid of the hateful stuff in their head. There's a lot of people that dislike the idea of the witches because if they're female only clan, then they have to be gay, right? And we don't
I
like
guess.
gay people. We don't like gay people.
Yeah, but
Um, and the
I,
producer and the creator, and she's heavily come out as gay also. So
yeah,
they don't like that either. There's a
well,
lot of stuff on Twitter about that in particular.
I'm going to tell
And
you, I don't buy into that, and you know where I stand on that issue, so I don't buy into that at all. So, like,
I don't
I
really either.
I don't know. I thought it was one of the better ones. I mean, we've seen Ahsoka, we've seen the Mandalorian, we've seen Kenobi. This one is like in the top, like for me. Not now. I'm not saying
Yeah,
it's number one. It's definitely in the top for me as a series overall. So,
yeah, it's
I'm
pretty good. It was well planned out. I thought,
yeah,
um,
I'm
with,
sold
with
on
lots of
it.
action and they didn't
Absolutely.
like you said um they didn't parse it out. It was there almost all the time. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
So
it was
anyway,
pretty good. And um, there was fighting action, but there was also storytelling action that was there, but it wasn't like you said. It wasn't like drawn out into a whole episode. It was part of an
yeah,
episode, but it wasn't the entire episode.
yeah. So
So
I don't know. Let's hear what everybody else has to say. That's the important
please
thing.
do, because I'm in the
We're
same
just
boat. I think it's pretty good. One of the pretty best of the properties so far.
yeah,
Um,
we're two schmucks that don't know anything. So or at least
then
one
again,
schmuck.
everybody is really impressed with the Mandalorian, and the Mandalorian's great. It was a great first
Yeah,
thing into this live action stuff. But I think there's stuff out there that's been better than the Mandalorian since it started. So
I would say we'll have to see how another season or two does with this. But if I was saying season one of the Mandalorian and season one of this, Mandalorian beats it. But if I take the Mandalorian as a whole across of all the seasons, this one season's beating the Mandalorian, I think. So,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah, that's a lot. That's what, 4 seasons
yeah,
of The
like
Mandalorian?
I don't know. I'm not buying into the dogging of it. I thought it was pretty good, and I probably
Yeah.
will read the entire thing someday and just binge through the whole thing and go from there. But
Well, it's
wow,
funny too because if you notice some of the main people that are dogging it, let's say, they're like certain, I don't know, they call themselves certain things, certain media types or whatever. You
yeah,
know, the Force times two or whatever they call themselves. They one day they'll be dogging it really bad, and the next day they'll say great things about it,
yeah,
and the
for
next
sure,
day they dog it even more. So
yeah,
I think a lot of the Star Wars social media people are starting to take that and start doing that to get more clicks and more popularity. And of course, they have advertisements on their website, so they're making money off of it too.
for
I
sure.
think that's part of it. I think that's a lot of it actually, because like you said, I don't really understand why these people are criticizing it so much because it's not bad, not bad at all.
Well, I
So
think the writing, is probably number one or number two out of all of the series, the shows that's been done. Like the way it was written and put together. Maybe it's not the writing, maybe it's more of the producing and putting it together. But the writing, I mean, the way that they've written it and kind of laid it out, top notch, like top notch, I think.
I agree.
So,
So anybody who hasn't watched this season objectively, please go back and watch it again.
exactly.
I'm gonna push the outro.
Thank you for listening to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast. Please visit our website where you can play current and past episodes. That's https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR.KyleJohansen.us. On the left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcast. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Again, all of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at RABR.KyleJohansen.us. This podcast in no way is approved, sponsored, or owned by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. All opinions are solely owned by Kyle and or Scott and in no way express the views or opinions of their past or present employers. Views and opinions are not supported or restricted by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or any or other use of this podcast and its affiliate sites without consent of Super Duper Podcast Network and its host is prohibited. I am Kyle Jung-Jae, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton. Say goodbye now.
Still no Rick in there, but he's there. There's Rick.
I'm like, I'm like the stranger.
Yeah, just appear and disappear. And for those who didn't realize, that's a QR code to get to our website. So if you scan it, it'll take you right there. You don't have to type in nothing. Just click it.
Hey, wait a minute. I saw one of those QR codes that when people scan it, it had a bad message. Are you sure you didn't mix those up?
No.
Yeah,
That's the one. That's the one down below.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want to scan that one.
No, you don't want that one.
This is a kid-friendly show, mostly.
Exactly. Yeah, that goes. Yeah, that's a bad angle, but that goes directly to our website. No fakery or trickery going on there at all.
Just like the stranger.
Exactly.
1 second you're here, next second you're someplace else.
Exactly.